Lopes here from Off the Block, and I'm joined with Ball State men's volleyball beat reporter Andrew Mishler, who was covering the Ball State men's volleyball team's defeat of Sacred Heart tonight in 3 games. And Andrew is joining us live from Muncie, Indiana. Now, Andrew, you were at the match courtside. What stood out for you from the game tonight?
I think freshman outside attacker Shane Whitmer stood out for me mostly tonight. It was his 3rd collegiate match of his career playing against Sacred Heart tonight. He came out and got the start from Coach Joel Walton, and he came out and really impressed me with the way he played. He was effective on offense, defense. Blocking was a little off and on, but from a freshman playing in his 3rd collegiate game and starting, you would expect him to have a ton of jitters and just play really tight. But what I saw from Shane was he played really loose and he played smart. And it's something that the Ball State men's volleyball team hasn't had a long time from an outside attacker, somebody that you can rely on. Now, I can say after one match, we can rely on Shane Whitmer to be that guy at outside attacker for Ball State. But I do think that he showed enough that he can start earning some more starts going into the next couple matches, especially this weekend. And I'm excited to see more out of him. I think he's going to be a good player for Ball State after looking at him for one match.
Yeah, and kind of talking about that outside attacker position, for a couple of years it's almost seemed like it's been a revolving door for Coach Joe Walton. Just looking, I think at one point last year he had 15 different starting combinations at outside attacker. Do you get the sense that he's settling on three starters, or that 3 are emerging who can lead that team and be solid outside attackers who can give consistent production?
I asked Joel tonight, I said, is this, I asked him about last year, and I said, last year was a revolving door, like you said, at the position. And I said, just play like this tonight where all 3 outside attackers play pretty well, including one, Jamian Hartley, who has been mostly inconsistent for his entire career. He played pretty well, too, and he's playing well to start the season. Do matches like this cement more of a starting lineup for you, more than it has in the past? And he told me that, he's more confident in this starting lineup than he has been in other starting lineups before. And he feels like this lineup right now is playing effectively enough together, cohesively enough, that he's going to continue giving the starts to these same players. And I think it helps Ball State having youngsters from last season step up now into their second years. Tommy Rouse, libero, Graham McElvain at setter. I think it helps having that consistency, even though they lost 5 seniors from last year and they had to replace all of them with some new faces, namely Kevin Owens and Matt Lesky at middle attacker, replacing Anders Nelson and J.D. Gasparovic from last year. It's a lot of turnover, but at the same time, there's some players that are showing consistency, showing that they've grown. So there's a lot of different ways to look at this team right now, but I think this starting lineup is going to stick for a while. I really do.
Yeah, well, and kind of talking about the starting lineup a little bit, you get the sense looking at this team, especially from the stat sheet tonight, no player with 10 kills. This isn't going to probably be the team that wows you statistically offensively, but as a unit collectively through balance, they're going to get it done offensively.
I believe so. The one player that you might see a lot of kills from in one given match is going to be Larry Rather, the team's top outside attacker. But otherwise, he might get 15 kills every so match, but you're not really going to see that many kills from one player. You're not going to see a dominant outside attacker giving out a lot of kills each and every night. And so far, that worked for them in this match. They had a lot of balance on offense. McElvain, the setter, really did a really good job distributing the ball, pushing the Sacred Heart defense away from the middles and kind of making them guess, where is he going to go with this? Where should we focus the defense? They didn't really know, and they didn't have a very successful night trying to stop Ball State's attack. So I think that this team is going to miss that kind of player at some point, because at some point this season they are going to meet a really good defensive team, and they're going to need somebody to step up and really produce when that adversity comes at them. But for right now, I see a team that's really balanced, that can go in multiple directions wherever they want to go, and that's going to help them in a lot of matches. I think it's going to be good for this team this year.
Yeah, now anytime you talk about Ball State, especially their fans, they always talk about last time they made the Final Four was 2002. Do you see this being a team, though, that come April, come May, they might be able to make that run and get back to the Final Four and end this 10-year drought?
I'm not seeing it this season. I mean, if there was ever a season where you look at Ohio State and say, maybe they're actually beatable, it's probably going to be this season with a lot of turnover on that team. But this team also, Ball State is also undergoing a lot of turnover right now from replacing 5 seniors that were really productive last season for them, and they played key roles. So they have to replace and plug in new players at new positions, and that's going to take a lot of growing for them to undergo. They do have, like I said, some players that are coming back, and they've established themselves as starters now in Roust and McIlvain, but otherwise this is a team full of mostly newbies, and they're going to have to grow together, win together, lose together throughout this entire season. And I'm really predicting a roller coaster for them at some points. And it's going to test their mental attitude to see how they get through those tough times. They're going to impress a lot of people sometimes, but I don't think it's going to be good enough to really say, yeah, this season they can make a run for the NCAA tournament. I'd say with not that many graduating players heading into the next season, Jeff Acoin is the only senior on the team, and he is a transfer from New Hampshire, so he's just here for 1 year. This is a team that's going to grow together in the next year, and they are going to come together, I think, in 2013 and be really a team to be reckoned with. This year, I say it's a rebuilding and growing year, and that's what I'm looking forward to. I think Coach Joel Walton is looking into that too, but right now he told me tonight he's very impressed with the way this team is playing, and frankly, so am I.
Now, really quickly, Andrew, Ball State later on this week, they have St. Francis and George Mason coming into their place. What are you expecting from those two matchups?
I was surprised that Ball State lost to St. Francis last Friday. I don't think St. Francis is really a team that should be too much trouble for Ball State. But I think I think Ball State is going to beat St. Francis on Saturday. For one, George Mason's is a little tougher to predict because George Mason is definitely a good team this year, and some are predicting them that they've been as good as they've been in a long time this year. So it's going to be a tough match on Friday, especially if Mark Jones plays. I'm not sure about the status of him right now. He didn't play last Saturday against Ball State. I feel like that might have crippled their offense a little bit. If he plays, then I might have to side with George Mason. If he doesn't, then I might have to give the edge to Ball State. It's that close. But I can safely say that it's probably going to be at least 4 or 5 sets again. It's not going to be an easy one for Ball State, guaranteed.
Well, it should be some fun matches this weekend to look forward to. Well, Andrew, thank you for joining us, and that's going to do it for us here. For everyone, be sure for the latest information on Ball State men's volleyball to follow Andrew Mishler, both on Twitter at Andrew Mishler and also online at bsudailynews.com. Thanks for joining us.